Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, while the term essential worker is a new term for some, it is important to remember that the workers we're talking about today have always been essential, although we have usually treated them as if they are disposable. But I also just want to say that they are essential not only for the important utility role that they play in society. This is not only about their labor, this is about their very lives, and they matter. They have always been the backbone for their families, for our communities, and our economy. But for too long, these same workers have not had the basic rights and protections that they deserve. The COVID-19 pandemic has unveiled many of these deeply entrenched inequities, and we're witnessing firsthand the deadly consequences in real time. Long before COVID ever hit, many families did not have savings to cover a $400 emergency expense. And this pandemic has pushed those already struggling, already on the margins, even further. Many of these economic inequities have been exacerbated by stagnant wages, unequal access to critical benefits like paid family leave and sick days, necessary protections key to preserving public health and the economic stability of families. Before this unprecedented global public health crisis, only 19% of workers had access to paid family leave and sick day protections. Many of the workers lacking these protections were among the same workers pleading for PPE and other equipment to protect themselves and their families from the virus. Many of the hardest hit communities in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in the 7th, which I represent, vibrant and diverse communities like Chelsea, where 60% of residents are Latinx and almost half are immigrants. Even as positive cases have declined, Chelsea continues to be the biggest hotspot in Massachusetts. So as the Commonwealth and other states are beginning the process of reopening, we must center our essential workers who so often reside in these hardest hit communities. These workers and communities continue to bear the brunt of this pandemic and will be disproportionately impacted if we see a potential second wave. Ms. Bocote, you know, sympathy is not enough. Thanks for your husband's contributions and the role that he played in your family are not enough. The only thing that is the just thing in this moment is for us to pass this legislation. Your family's story is the story of thousands of families grieving the loss of a precious loved one robbed by this virus. It is why we have to change course in our policymaking and finally center our most vulnerable as we begin to lay the groundwork for recovery. So thank you so much for taking time away from your family in the midst of your own grief to be here today to advocate to save lives and for ensuring that all our essential workers have the support, PPE, hazard pay, emergency paid family leave, and sick days so that they can remain safe and healthy. Mr. Odom, this crisis again has unveiled many of the deeply entrenched inequities. The United States is one of the most industrialized nations without a national paid family leave and sick day policy. How has this contributed to the economic challenges facing essential workers who are disproportionately people of color and women? Only 1 in 5 Black women can afford to work from home. Only 1 in 5 Latinas can afford to work from home. So how is this playing out?
Well, it's creating a crisis, Congresswoman. And first of all, let me thank you for your leadership on insisting that the CDC prioritize and identify the demographics of people who have been tested. This is a huge equity issue. We will not get our arms around this problem until we know where the disease is. It's not a matter just to say anybody who wants a test can get it. We need to go into the communities where we know it exists. We need to identify it, and we need to root it out. With respect to family leave, this is the problem that I identified in my opening remarks, especially women of color who are really on the front lines of this disease. Not only are they having to go into work in many instances, but they're also having to deal with the fact that their children may be at home during school mandated closures, right? They are disproportionately leaving their households, so the income that they make or don't make is the entire economic livelihood of that family. So leave is an indispensable part of this equation, and we need to do more. I called for in my opening testimony for more fiscal stimulus. Leave is definitely in that category of fiscal stimulus. And on the point that you made about the human cost and the human toll of this, which has not been discussed at nearly the length it needs to. There was a peer-reviewed study that was published in Nature earlier this week. It talked about the effects of these stay-at-home orders. Nearly 5 million people, confirmed cases, avoided coronavirus because of these stay-at-home measures. some 60 million Americans averted the coronavirus because of these measures. You can take aim and criticize the decision to open early, to not come back soon enough, but what cannot be denied is that there are millions of Americans today who do not have the coronavirus because frontline workers went out there to work to give those of us who are non-essential workers the ability to stay at home and work and be safe.
Right. That's right. Thank you, Mr. Odom. Mr. Perone, your union represents
Ms. Pressley, your time
Oh,
has
is that my
expired.
time? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Time
Thank
is flies